Hello, all. I'm coming to you today, and I'm talking to you about the power of five. Now, I know you're wondering, like, what is the power of five? For me, I have had five people in my life when I lived in Atlanta that completely transformed who I am and the way that I was living. And if it was not for these people, I really just don't think I'd be thinking the way that I think today. Their interaction in my life was absolutely monumental. You cannot tell me any different. I believe God placed them in my life to help elevate me and break the cycle of poverty. And so I just want to give you a little information about each person and how they did something that was impacting me to make me a better person. So, first person is my friend Jewel. She right now is probably in her mid 30s. She still looks like she's a freshman in high school, and nobody would ever question it if they would happen to see her. She just happens to be small in stature, but she's very wise when it comes to business, and she is a very no nonsense kind of person. She is the first person that I really came to interact with, and she went over all the business basics with me. I had no clue how to do anything. I remember for the longest time I thought I couldn't even have a business because nobody in my family that I knew of had a successful business. Like, they weren't living off of their gifts and talents. Everybody that I knew was working a job that they hated. And I just remember thinking, like, I just don't want that to be my story for my life. And so she told me how she had worked with nonprofit organizations. She started an LLC. Like, she had all these things that she did. She was also my dance instructor. Like, eventually, like, I ended up working with her in that capacity in her creative space, and she also brought me up to another level there. I remember we had done this dance that was exhausting. Like, every time you did it, you were so tired and worn out. And so she had videotaped everybody to see what we can all, as individuals, can do better. And when she got to me, she showed me how everybody else was like completely exhausted, worn out, and I hadn't even really broken a sweat. And so it was in that day that she brought me to another level, because she said, look, as a friend, I love you, but if you can't work in excellence in this area, you can't work with me with anything, because it's not only looks poorly on you, it looks poorly on me. And so it made me really think, like, I have to do better. And you're going to find that basically all the five friends have that, like, no nonsense type of thing that I really appreciate in a person. Like, I don't need a yes man in my life. I need somebody that's going to challenge me when they know I'm not doing my best or I need to be doing better. So I'm grateful for her. So that's Jewel. Person number two, that would be my BFF, Lisa Davila. She's amazing. She has got so many gifts and talents. It's awesome. She is actually a professional cook or chef. She did that for a while, and then she decided to kind of get out of the industry because it was so time consuming. It was taken away from her kids. But she, like, really held me down on so many different aspects of my life. And I remember there was a time where I could never seem to have enough gas money. I was always running out of gas. And, like, every time I ran out of gas, and I remember there's this one point in life where it was like, I want to say for maybe 2 months, every other week I was calling her. I was calling her to come pick me up or to bring me some gas because I had ran out of gas. Like, I just had not prioritized my money. And I kept thinking, like, I have to pay these bills or they're going to come get my car. I have to pay my rent. And so I just thought that gas was something that I could kind of hustle $1 or $2 here or there from somebody else and make it through on payday. And so I remember calling her all the time. And then I had a revelation because I was like, here it is. She's got 2 kids. Um, she's got her own family. Like, I should not, as a single person at this time, should not be calling her to come and help me put gas in my car. And that was a leveling conversation because she and I both talked about that. But we also talked about holding true to your word. So I put a event together with my journals. Anybody knows me knows I love writing in journals. I started this company called All About Journals, and so I did this event. And in the event, I had to basically, I was providing food for everybody. I was providing entertainment. Well, my friend here, who was working as a chef at that time, she decided that she would go ahead and help me display all the food, put the food, cook the food and everything like that. And I was going to pay her half of the money back. She was like, I'm okay with paying this. Just pay me, I think it was $250. It came to a $500 bill. And so the event came and went. It went really well. She did really good with the food. And, I'm honestly very embarrassed to say that I just, the money kept slipping through my fingers. And so I remember when I got the event, I spent the money on what I needed to spend it on, and I had not paid her back yet. And so I think maybe 2 weeks went by, or maybe 3 weeks went by, and she called me and she said, first of all, I want you to know that I love you. She's like, second of all, I want you to know that I forgive you. And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, it's been 3 weeks and you have made no mention of paying me back for this money that I gave you for the event. She was like, as a person that is a believer in God, she's like, you have to be a woman of integrity. You cannot tell somebody you're going to do something. I don't care what the circumstances are. If you say you're going to do it, you have to do it. And I could have made a million excuses to say, well, I have this and I had that and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Like, she came out of $500 in her pocket to help me set this up because she believed in what I was doing. And so she called me out on it. She was like, that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And anybody else would probably stop talking to you. And so I had to really just apologize and face my shame of like being like that with my friend. Which I did. And I did eventually pay her back. But it was at that moment that I realized I don't care what you have going on, you make sure you keep your word. It's so vitally important, because if you don't have your word, you don't have anything. And it also was like a revelation of like not taking advantage of the people that love you the most and believe in you the most. Like, because just because they've done it doesn't mean like you can be like, well, it's not that big a deal. It's a huge deal. And I never forgot that. I apologized to her. And I've never done that again. But that was a thing that I had to learn. And I'm going to tell you, honestly, every person that I present, everything that they presented me helped to break a cycle of poverty off of me. It was like levels of poverty that was stuck in my mindset that I was not aware of it until somebody told me about it. As crazy as that sounds. It's just like people live their life every day and they cannot realize that they're doing something that's not beneficial, or they can do something that is beneficial. But, there are people that are just unconscious of it until they have been made aware. So that was friend number 2, BFF Lisa. Person number 3 was a young lady named Jocelyn. Jocelyn absolutely changed my life, of course. Because of her, I actually read my labels now. So I used to have the most unhealthy eating habit. I was a vegetarian for 10 years of my life, and I was a junk food vegetarian. I would basically eat fries, chips, pop, whatever, just whatever. I am not a person that eats because it's the flavor and it's so good, as my fiance says. I'm a person that is like, I'm hungry, give me something to fill my stomach, and then I'm okay. And I would just find whatever. It didn't mind me. It didn't matter to me. So she brought it to my attention about how I was eating. And I remember thinking like, well, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But she broke it down for me in a biblical sense. She was like, what does it matter if you gain all this money and you're not taking care of yourself? She was like, you have to eat better. Like, do a better job of taking care of yourself physically so that you can do what you want to do mentally and with your business. If you don't have your health, getting all this money or whatever else is not going to matter, because you're going to be too sick to enjoy it. She had actually caught me. We were roommates at one point in time, and she had caught me quite a few times, and she stopped me one day because she told me I always cooked with a knife. Like, it didn't matter what it was. If I was stirring food, if I was picking something, like, I always had a knife and I would just eat whatever. And she was like, you eat like I've never seen anybody eat as bad as you do. She's like, I've literally watched you just eat a whole bag of chips. She's like, I've literally watched you just drink soda until you can't drink it anymore. She was like, read your labels, read what you're putting in your body. It's so important. She's like, this is why people age the way that they do, because they are not watching what they consume. Well, again, with the mind of poverty, all I thought was like, I just need something to get rid of this hunger pain. Like, I remember having a level of thinking, food is not even important right now. Like, as long as I have gas to put in my car and a place to stay, I could go without food. And I lost a lot of weight because I thought like that, because I just didn't prioritize my money. That's why, like, the way that you think about things really filters in to how you do business as well. Because if you're not good with money now, when you get money when it comes to a business, it will slip through your fingers because you don't know what you're doing with it. You don't even know where it's going. I had to get to the point where I started to manage my money. Like, I kept hearing that and I just didn't understand until I thought, okay, I keep running out of gas. Instead of waiting until all my money is gone and then try to get gas money, go fill my tank up immediately and then put money beside or to the side for the next 2 weeks till I get paid again. Because it was not cute being, I don't even know how old I was, like 20 something, and I could never have gas or anything like that. So that was Jocelyn. Jocelyn was the health guru, among a lot of other things. She is really big on research. She's going to school right now to be a doctor. Like, she's awesome. She's also very beautiful. She's really tall, light-skinned, and she's hilarious. Like, she kept me laughing. Everybody that I hang out with is a pretty funny character to some degree. But Jocelyn, I'm extremely grateful for her. She really helped me to do better on taking care of myself. So, let's see. There's Jewel, there's Lisa, there's Jocelyn, and then there's Jill. Jill is the person that helped me to take care of myself when it comes to the physical aspect. You know, she had a conversation that was hard. That was hard, but it was out of love. And she told me one time, she was like, why do you carry yourself as if you're poor? She was like, I know that you struggle. She was like, but you're not poor. She was like, you treat your hair as if you're poor. She's like, you dress. And she was like, you carry yourself as if you are a homeless person. And she told me, she's like, I want you to do better. And she was a hairdresser. So she really gave me the beneficial tips to take care of my hair, like the simple things that I can do to, like, even if I don't have a lot of money, I can still make myself look good. She was all about a good visual representation, which there's nothing wrong with that, but at the time I didn't think it was necessary. So she really opened my eyes to see, like, you have to take care of yourself physically. So take care of, wash your face, of course. Put on a little bit of makeup. If you're going to be presenting yourself as a business person, make sure you look like a business person. You don't look like somebody that just rolled out of bed. And so she would get on to me about the way that I dressed. And I used to think, this is so silly. Like, why does she get on to me about this? But again, that level of poverty, just thinking it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. Nobody really cares how I look, but that's not true to a certain degree. When you run a business, you need to present yourself as such. And so I had to do better with my hair, and because of her, I take care of my hair and my physical outlook on a better scale. So that was Jillian. The last person that I would say was very influential in my life in Atlanta was a lady named Falana. And I love Falana. I used to call her Falafel Waffle. But I loved her so much because she just had the biggest heart. And she was always willing to help somebody out, even if it was a little bit detrimental to her. And she had the most beautiful talent of singing. She had the best voice to this day. I love to hear her sing, especially when she's singing a song that I love to hear. And we had many conversations. I feel like we kind of grew together on a lot of different aspects. But she talked to me before I got pregnant with my daughter. And she sat me to the side and she said, I love you. This is how it always starts out. She told me that, she was like, I love you. And she was like, as your friend, I'm telling you, you're with a guy who I don't think is going to be suited for you. He seems like a nice person, or decent enough anyway. But she was like, I'm afraid that you're going to get pregnant. And if you get pregnant, it's going to be a whole different beast for you. And she told me that. She was like, I'm telling you this in love. Whatever you're doing with him, please stop. Just cut it out. And it's not that I didn't hear. I did hear it. So I stopped talking to him for about 2 weeks. And then I started letting him talk to me again. And it kind of went back to what it was before. And so when I really got to the point of just cutting it off with him is when I realized that I was pregnant. And she was not lying. Like, I'm not going to go into details about this guy, but anybody that knows me knows that story. And I love my daughter. She's amazing. She's the best thing that's happened to me in my life. But the backlash of having my daughter is having to deal with him. And, it's not that I wasn't warned. I didn't listen. I did my own thing. So I want you to know, all these people played a vital role in my life. They've always been 100% honest with me, even when I didn't necessarily want to hear it. But because they told me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear, I still think back to the conversations that we had, how it helped me to be a better person, how it helped to elevate me to a different place in life, and how it actually helps me to have the business that I have today. Like, all these things are so important. As I always say, you know, the people that you surround yourself with, the things that you are watching, the things that you are listening to, all of this plays a very important state of what you do in your business life and how you treat the people you come across. You know, when you come to the end of your life, we always think it's about what's going on here and now, but you really need to take a moment to think, when you die, like, seriously, what can people say about you other than you were a good husband, a good wife, a good mother, a good father? Like, when the funeral is done and they're like sitting around and time has gone by and the real conversation comes out, what are they going to say about you? Like, what's the legacy that you're leaving for people? Your business is not just about your business. Your business is about impacting the lives of the people that you come across and working with integrity while you do it. So this is my message for today. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment if this has really spoken to you. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to what I have to say on Fire Your Boss.